Hello everyone. Today we are here to discuss most crucial topics of the cloud computing topics, which are virtualization and the containerization. Our main agenda for today's is determining their difference, their use cases, and their application in the field of cloud computing. So, let's begin this topic. Before we begin these topics, I want to clear the terminologies why we are introducing these terms in our learning path of cloud computing. Let's start from the basics. I am taking a small example to explain these two terminologies and the use cases in the cloud computing. Let's take two examples of the components of cloud computing. The one is end user, and second is the cloud computing providers platforms like AWS, Azure, and GCPs. So first, we will see a point of view of a end user and the person or the entity which are using cloud computing services. So end user is an end user for us deploying a service, app, or website or a server makes sense on cloud, because if we deploy it on our local machines or the local systems, it have many constraints, like if our power cut is done or something system failure, our websites or the application or the service which are deployed on the local service, which will be totally go down. So mostly in today's world we use as the cloud computing providing services for deploying our services, application, and other things. So basically, for the end user, there is an requirements are vary from user to user and the organization or institution to institution. For some user, they want a small portion of cloud computing services and the storage services from the cloud provider, and some need big and high computation power on the basis of their service and the application. Similarly, goes for the organization. Some organization needs not that much computing power and the storage services, but at some point of time they required high computing power and the storage things. Like for example, I am taking IRCTCs. On normal day, they need a pretty good amount of cloud computing services and the storage services. But when the time of holidays and vacations, their sales and the traffic goes like in the above the sky. So they need at the time high computing power and the storages services. So they have varies of needs of the services from the cloud. So now comes to the point of view cloud service provider. Second, our second entity of the this system. So in terms of cloud provider, they did not provide a single hardware to the users or the organization. They have set up a big data centers and the computers like supercomputers which have massive configuration of hardware and the resources. So they didn't set up a small machines on the basis of requirements of the end users. They have a big machines. So the main problems arrive that they want to share this big single instance at a particular instance to the remotely users in the form of partitions. They cannot share the whole machine to a single users. So they need a terminology or the mechanism so that they can share their one big physical resource into multiple end users on their basis of requirement and how much they pay. So there comes now we will understand the main problems which associated with them, that they need a partitions of resources, not the full resources. And from the cloud computing, on the point of cloud computing service providers, they need a mechanism to partition these services from the big hardware or the big computing hardware. So there's a come the concept of virtualization and containerization. So in basically in virtualization, we tries to partition a physically big resources into logically virtual different machines. Means like we want to set up a big we want to partition the big resources into small chunks on the basis of user requirement and allocate them. We doesn't set up different small machine, but rather than we deploy a big machine and set up a big machine, and we tries to share this physical